Hey everyone. There's a lot of advice thrown out in this photography world, and arguably some of it is a little bit better than others. Over the last 10 or so years of my career, I've definitely fallen for a lot of stuff that I would have probably preferred not to. So let's go over a few of those things, and hopefully you don't do the same mistakes I did. Let's get into it. Number one, everything you need to learn is available online. Now, sure, that might work for some technical stuff and for how to expose an image, or how to take a good photo, or even what is a good photo to begin with. You might be able to find all that information online, sure, but being a good photographer is about a whole lot more than reading books and reading or watching videos and understanding the techniques behind an image. Being a good photographer is showing up to all these different locations for the first time and being able to deliver quality results time and time again. Being a good photographer is being able to be creative when you're needed, not just once or twice a year. So I think being a photographer is a whole lot more than just learning what you can learn online. And furthermore, for those of you who have chosen to go to school for photography, you get to have this access to all these connections around you, these peers and these professors and people that are able to guide you in the right direction. Those are things that you just can't find online. It's too personal, it's too one-on-one, that you just can't really come across unless you're going out there in your community and you're being a part of it. To be a good photographer is to actually do the photography, not just learn about it online. So get out of your room and go take some pictures. Next, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. If you don't work a day in your life, you're not gonna find success in anything that you do, whether you love it or you don't. You might find joy in the work that you do, but you're definitely still working. Even to this day, I still feel like I don't have a job, so to speak, because I'm just playing with toys and I'm having fun every day, and this is just part of what I would be doing whether I was getting paid or not. But to say it's not work is really silly. That's not how it is. I'd rather not be working. I'd rather be skating or chilling at the beach with a beer in my hands than dealing with a bridezilla on a Saturday morning at 7:30 in the morning. So sure, it's fun and it's better than maybe being in an environment that you don't want to be in, or doing a job that you don't want to do, or working for someone that you don't want to work for. But I mean, it's still work. You're still working. You're still definitely putting the hours in. There's part of this job. I mean, I think having a camera in my hands is probably like 5–10% of what I do, or what we do as photographers. So it's not exactly. I mean, it's glamorized. It's like, oh, look how cool this looks. Look how fun all of these. Look at this end result. Look at all this cool stuff I've done. But it doesn't show that you're carrying grip stands for 3 hours. You're loading and unloading the car. You are doing a lot of stuff on the back end that you don't necessarily see in the end result. So yeah, there's a lot of work. There's a lot of editing. There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that happens that you might not necessarily see, but is still very much part of the work of being a photographer. I hate doing emails. I hate marketing. It's part of the job. It's not necessarily that I can avoid it and be like, oh, I'm self-employed. I don't need to do that part of my job. Like, no, that's still part of having a job. Yeah, this is still work. So don't feel like, oh, I want to do this so that I don't have to work and just wait till money rolls in somehow miraculously. No, it's work. It's a grind. It's being able to convince others that their hobby is worth your career and your yearly salary. So you got to put the work in, and you got to be undeniable. Next, you absolutely have to niche down. Now, I did a video about this recently, but really it boils down to the size of your market versus how much you want to niche. If you're in a very big market, you probably want to niche very, very specifically because you have the ability to do so. But if you're in a smaller market like I am, you're probably going to want to expand or broaden your horizons a little bit so that you're able to take in a little bit more jobs within that same kind of scope of what you would like to do. To get to a point where you niche down, you have to be shooting for years, maybe even decades, because you have to shoot a little bit of everything. You have to be in an environment that you're not used to and uncomfortable, and then do that over and over and over again. And you're able to more so align yourself with the types of shoots that you do end up wanting to do. After a year or two, you might enjoy a certain style and you might go towards that, and then after that you might pivot and go, you know what, I kind of like shooting cars, or I like shooting events, or whatever it is, and that's okay. But it's going to take a decade of doing these little 6-month waves for you to understand, like, oh, okay, you know what, this is what I like to shoot, this is the environment that suits my headspace or the workflow that I like to have, this is what I'm going to focus on. But until then, just shoot everything that comes your way. Take the experience in, take the knowledge, take everything that you can, because that's the beauty of photography. Like, we're able to have access to so many different worlds that we wouldn't otherwise have just by having a camera in our hands. So take advantage of it. Don't you ever give up your raws. Maybe when you're first starting out, you're like, oh my God, there's so much power in this. My editing is my style. That's how I can tell if it's my photo or another one's photo. But really, at the higher ends, you're giving up your raws. That's part of the process. That's part of the job. They have editors, they have retouchers, they have people that are dedicated to doing the other stuff around photography that isn't just clicking the shutter, and that's what we're supposed to be doing, really. So make sure that your raw files are as perfect and or at least as close to perfect as possible, because at a certain point, you're going to be asked you're going to be asked for your raws. And sure, that might be a huge payout, but at the same time, you still have to be you have to be worth that payout. When you're first starting out, you're probably not. If you're spending a bunch of time editing your photos because you're thinking about, you're shooting and you're trying to save them and you're trying to, create something that wasn't there. I mean, sure, that can be part of your workflow, but you're probably more aligned with being a retoucher than you are being a photographer, because being a photographer is trying to recreate those cool things that we've seen for all of these years in camera. The film guys were doing it in camera. You can do it too, So it's about finding the ways that you can recreate these larger than life scenes and shoot them in camera as much as possible. And I think giving up your raws is just part of the job that we have. And if you can make them as close to as a final product as possible, then you're probably in the clear. You shouldn't have anything to worry about, because your shots are pretty much straight out of camera. Never stop marketing yourself, because your next shoot is probably your last. Now, I know it's a scary field to not know where your next paycheck is coming from, but really, you gotta foster the relationships with the clients you already have. It's way harder to book a new client than it is to please a returning client. Have the ones that have already booked you, that already do trust you, just maintain that trust as much as possible. Make it your ultimate priority to just be a good employee for them, so to speak. You want whales in this industry that can fund you for multiple months and multiple years throughout your career, not just for one shoot and try to maximize what you can get out of them. Try to maximize what you can give to them, and that way you'll get a much better relationship and you'll be able to book with them over and over again. Over and over and over. There's a lot of those again. I say that a lot, don't I? Anyway, thanks for sticking around, guys. Have a nice weekend. See you on Monday. Later.